Hey guys, welcome back to Bullhornbeach. Even though it's cooler today here in Central Arkansas, it's still blazing hot. I got a couple of fans running. If you hear stuff going on, I'm in the shop today, and it's freaking hot. So anyway, check this out. I bought this winch from Harbor Freight, the 2500 Badland winch, and I got this mounting plate that goes with it. Okay, but I have an Arctic cat. And you never know with Arctic cats, nothing seems to be standardized on them or universal. So instead of buying a plate for it to mount this to the four-wheeler, and I didn't know if it would work or not, I decided to make my own. If you've seen my videos, you know I've done some blacksmithing. So I've got lawnmower blades laying around here. This is just one of the lawnmower blades that my father-in-law had given me, and the reason I chose this one, any would probably work, but the reason I chose this is if you look at the profile of it, it's, can we get a good shot of that? Anyway, you can see it's curved a little bit, which makes everything stand up just a little bit higher. That's why I chose that. What I did was I took a 3/8 bit, and I drilled 1, 2, 3, 4 holes in it. Okay, this hole was already there, so I just made use of it. I cut this off with an angle grinder on both sides to get it the length that I needed to fit on the four-wheeler. With the plate, I did something different with it. I know you're not supposed to modify these. Yes, my warranty is voided and all that. I don't care. But it comes with round holes all over it, like that one. But you can see there's a couple of square holes on there as well. What I did was I took this square file, I don't know if you can tell that's square or not, anyway it's a square file, and I just started working these holes by hand until they were still basically a 3/8 inch hole, but now it's square instead of round. And let's see, I did 2 holes like that on here. You'll see why in a second. I also did the same thing on the winch itself. On that bottom, that's a square hole now as well. That'll be clear in a second as well. Okay, I went and bought some carriage bolts. I believe there are 3-inch carriage bolts, and in a couple of places 2 inches would have probably been enough. But anyway, I want to make sure it's long enough. The carriage bolts have got this square head underneath the top of it here. So what that does is when it goes into the plate now, that locks in place. It won't turn. Okay, and that's why I bought those. Another reason I bought these is they have a relatively flat head on them, and when this is on the plate like that, the winch actually sets up on top of this, and I wanted that to be as flat as I could get it, and it doesn't wobble. It works fine. So let me get the camera reset, show you how I put all this together. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do here is mount the plate to this block of wood. This is just a block of wood that I cut a notch out right here, so one of those carriage bolts can go all the way through, and then the other 2 carriage bolts will sit down right there. And I always use these plastic lock nuts when I can. They're just a lot easier to work with, and this is all 3/8 inch hardware. I'm going to attach this to the lawnmower blade. Like that. So the next thing I want to do, take another 3-inch, get the winch on there, okay, that goes all the way through. Still got the fairlead attached, and that makes it a little more difficult to work with. That goes all the way through to the lawnmower blade right there. Alright, on the back side of this, we'll use the hardware that came with the winch. And you can see it stands up a little bit. That's just because of those heads on the carriage bolts. Not a big deal. Drop that through. Put a washer on. Put the lock washer on. And the nut. Okay, so take our pliers, hold that in place, tighten this one up. Okay, everything's tightened down. Put the fairlead back on. Alright, so now we got our winch put together. Let's get it on the four-wheeler. Okay, I've already got the wiring done. So we get this on here. The holes in a lawnmower blade line up with holes that were already on the four-wheeler, okay? So I didn't have to do any drilling there. I just had to miss this case. I like having that on there. I don't want to remove it. So on here, make sure you can see what I'm doing there. I got a good sized washer on the top there. And a nylock nut. Same thing on the other side. Socket up underneath there. And something cool is got a socket on the bottom. I can use a wrench on the top, just like a socket. Alright, sucker is on there. Get the electricity hooked back up to it and we're good to go, man. Goes to the frame of the four-wheeler. Goes to the frame of the four-wheeler. It's not perfectly straight across here, but I'm okay with that. And all of it is jammed up against this bar right here. So all of the weight that it's pulling is not necessarily on just these 3/8" bolts. A lot of it is going to be right against that bar. Now you're saying, oh, it's supposed to be lower down there. We know it's supposed to be lower. You're right. It is. And if you buy the plate to mount it down there, it'll be lower. For my purposes, this works perfect. Got the little remote. Hold it down 3 seconds. Extend. Do not retract. And then retract. Beautiful. Alright guys, thanks for watching here at Bullhornbeach. So if you buy the winch and you don't want to spend 50 bucks on a plate from eBay that may or may not fit, you can make one out of a lawnmower blade just like that. My next project is going to be a little front end loader that this will raise and lower. Had to move some gravel the other day. Had to do it by hand. That's up. So I'm going to build one of those. Till the next video guys, get out in the shop.